In this edition of the Ottawa Market, we explore and deal with two apparent sides of the Ottawa Police. Uh, the two sides are there's the once public face of the Ottawa Police, where where you will find police officers who are excellent, who are doing their job, who are pursuing the ideals of what it is to be a police officer, which is to help make the community safe and deal with the so-called bad guys and bad ladies out there. They are, there's that side of the Ottawa Police that, that which is their public face, and there's another side of the Ottawa Police, which sometimes gets the attention of the media when it comes to issues of racial profiling, when they are a particularly sensationalistic nature that the establishment media can't ignore. But there is a side of the Ottawa Police far worse than most people are even aware is possible. These these police officers, I call them police officers in quotations. I'll give you a story about what happened when someone got exposed to these police officers in quotations, and there's an ongoing effort of cover up concerning these types of apparent problems with the Ottawa Police. Now, the situation involved a lady, an older lady, who was subject to abuse. Her son thought that she was being subjugated to some type of medical experiment that has been reinforced by various interests. And as a result of those medical experiments, they both involved the husband and the wife. Well, the husband, as a result of these apparent experiments, began to abuse the mother, serious abuse that involved to the extent to which the mother lost ability to read, write, and talk as a result of this abuse. Well, the son, thinking that, police are, all good, decided to report this incident after he received a note from the mother that she was being abused. Well, naturally, he would report this to the police. Well, this particular situation arrived to a desk of a so-called detective in quotations. The detective arrived in the late night one evening and began incessantly knocking the door of the son, knocking it probably around after 1 a.m. The son thought, and saying that he was a police. Well, the son thought this was quite strange, a police not in uniform knocking incessantly the door at 2 a.m., didn't open it. The next day, he was out shopping, went to go out shopping, turned around. He all of a sudden heard screeching behind him. When he looked, this police officer came back and began to threaten the son, demanded that he not reveal the matter of his mother being abused to anyone. He kept threatening not to say to anyone. The son said he had a right to complain about his mother being abused and that no one was going to stop him. These are the kind of police, in quotations, that are working in the Ottawa Police that everybody should know about. Can you imagine a police officer seeking to reinforce the horrific domestic violence by sending somebody to their house to say that they weren't supposed to say anything about it? It's quite shocking. And you might ask, well, maybe it wasn't the police. Well, it was. This He verified that this individual was in fact working for the police, a detective. Might be the surprise. Began to keep texting the son, threatening him not to reveal information about the abuse that was taking place. He went to, the son was being blocked to getting access to his mother. He reported the matter to Social Services Agency. The so-called detective then went to the Social Services Agency and then apparently threatened the Social Services Agency as well, that they were not to, because the son saw, the Social Service Agency saw the abuse. The Social Service Agency facilitated a meeting between him and his mother. The Social Service Agency said that they would be prepared to testify in court about the matter because they saw the mom being abused and neglected. After this same police officer visited, the police officer apparently threatened them and decided to break off contact with the son. These are the kind of police we were talking about as working in the Ottawa Police. In quotations, all kinds of nefarious activities. The son then went to expose this in court, and it just kept getting worse. With these so-called Ottawa Police, the son. So if you want to get more information, if you're interested in the continuation of the saga of this very interesting story involving the so-called police in quotations that are carrying badges but are not apparently the police that you and I normally think about, like, subscribe to this channel and make your comments below. Share your insights on your experiences of the Ottawa Police or other police you might want to talk about that are inconsistent with the ideals of police officers that most of us come to think about, that are working apparently with various sinister elements that seek to reinforce these sinister elements, and that these activities are then reinforced by certain interests working in the justice system. This particular story is disturbing, and one where you won't find on any particular newscast, and provides a context of the kind of hypocrisy that is taking place with respect to police in general, and specifically the Ottawa Police and their nefarious activities that are not being held accountable because of certain operatives that are being these is being reinforced apparently by interests in the Ontario government that are now the subject of a human rights investigation. Thanks for watching this edition of the Ottawa Market YouTube channel. Like and subscribe this channel if you're interested in more insight or more stories like this one about issues pertaining to human rights. Thanks for watching.